We're going to go ahead and get started. For those that have joined us, I'm sure we'll have a couple more filter in here. For those that have joined us, we appreciate you guys being on here this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you're at. Everyone that's on the attendee list, I'm sure most of you know who I am, but we'll do introductions real quick for the three hosts we have here. So I'm Coy. I'm the national trainer at NoviHome. Probably met you when I came out and did your training, but I'm always searching and seeking new ways to help improve our builders' experience with NoviHome and to help you guys come up with new ideas, fun, cool ways that I'm seeing users across the country take advantage of NoviHome, which is why we have Lena on today. Lena, will you introduce yourself to the group?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Lena Burgin. I work for Level Homes in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I am the OSC there. So my main role is lead management, especially for non-responsive leads and trying to get them to respond and get them out to our communities. So I have been using Novi Homes the past about year and a half to really help make that happen. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Lena. And Mandy, will you introduce yourself as well?
Hi, my name is Mandy. I am the customer success manager here at NoviHome. I check in regularly with our builders just to make sure everybody is staying up to date and part of implementation when you all have eventually seen Koi come out and do some training. I am going to be watching over Q&A today. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and make sure that you add that information in there, and then we'll be bringing that up between Koi and Lena's conversation.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, guys, if anyone has questions, don't hesitate to ask, throw them in the Q&A. I probably won't normally on these webinars. If you've attended previously, I'm sharing my screen quite a bit because I'm kind of doing training or things like that. This one will be a bit more of a conversation. And so I won't be sharing my screen as much, maybe a little bit here and there. Well, let me give everybody kind of some background and some context as to why we're doing this on the webinar today. So oftentimes when I go out and do trainings with new builders and as we onboard and implement, the builders focus with NoviHome. It's, to be quite honest, it's usually not directed towards the online sales person. It's usually directed towards the on-site sales team. And for many of you, even your construction team, right, with customer updates and progress photos and all of that is fantastic. And we love that. But I've met with many online sales counselors across the country and given little pointers, tips and tricks, ways that I've always thought like, hey, I think NoviHome could be inserted into your process this way. I think you could take advantage of it this way. But like online sales counselors have used little bits and pieces of it. But a couple of months ago at the Builder Show in Orlando, Lena was there and we were catching up, having a conversation, and I was just kind of picking her brain a little bit as to how she uses NoviHome. And everything she was describing to me was really kind of like the vision that I have had for online sales counselors, but really just never the time to really fully implement it with OSCs. And so everything she was telling me, it just felt like it was golden. Like I was just like, wow, I was very impressed by everything that she's done. So I asked her if she would join one of these webinars eventually, and here we are today. I have some questions. Really, I'm going to be asking Lena questions and kind of let her just talk through her processes today. And then I might just kind of show some things as she's describing things. I might jump in and say, hey, this is kind of what she's talking about, and this is how she's doing this. So, Lena, let's start with kind of question number one I have here on our little document that we've been using is, I think the number one question that a lot of OSCs and builders in general might have is like, as an OSC, what type of prospects do you invite to the Level Homes app? Is it everybody you speak to? Well, like what type of prospects are you inviting?
So it's definitely not everyone we speak to because we don't want it to become this dumping ground. It's a useful tool. We don't want it to get cluttered. We want to leverage it to stay in very close communication with our top prospects and make sure they don't fall through the cracks if they're taking a little longer to convert, or that we really stand out amongst our competitors and with our communication. So I would say kind of the people that I invite goes into like three different buckets. So obviously, confirmed appointment. Someone registers on our website or registers through the NoviHome QR code. I have a live conversation with them, book them an appointment with onsite, they automatically get an invite to Novi, or our app, however you refer to it. This makes our handoff process seamless. Whenever I have a confirmed appointment, I tell them at the end of our conversation, you're going to be receiving a few different things from me. One of them is a calendar invite. So all you got to do is accept it and they'll get a reminder. Two is an email that's going to connect them to our onsite rep as well as our in-house lender. And then also reference the NoviHome invite in the email as well. Like they hear it multiple times, so it's not a surprise, right? It's kind of like an intro handoff email. And then I also we'll get into this a little bit later, but we have NoviHome integrated with Lasso, so I can just quickly change the rating in our CRM, and it pushes an invite out to them so that they can download the app. So it's not anything new to them. It's just part of the process, but our confirmed appointments get all of those things kind of tied up in a little bow. I've also been using it for our relocation buyers, and it allows us to stay more connected and feel like we're more face to face with them. They're A-rated buyers, except they're just not ready yet. So like maybe they know that a job promotion's coming in the next 3 to 6 months or something like that. It just allows them to stay in the loop. And it keeps them in our office and not, on other people's websites. I kind of tell them it's like our own personal Zillow. You'll be able to stay up to date. You can follow along with our inventory homes and that kind of thing. It creates like a little bit of a sense of urgency. Every now and then I will, people that don't fall into those two buckets, I'll invite, like I have a few responded leads that just for some reason just like won't book the appointment. They just can't commit. So I do invite them, and it kind of just gives me a little bit of history of like what they're tracking, what their fault, you know what I mean? Like kind of gives me, I call it like brain ninja, right? Like it gives me more insight because they're just not giving me anything when we talk. So it kind of gives me a little bit of insight on what they're looking for. And when their activity kind of starts to pick up, I'm like, I'm going to call them, because they obviously got us on their mind. So, but mostly it's going to be for those confirmed appointments that are going to meet with our onsite and our relocation leads that just like literally don't live in the state yet.
Yeah, no, awesome. Right. So it's incorporated into the handoff process. I think that's probably the primary use that you use it for. Kind of some long-term nurturing for those qualified prospects, but that are going to be in the funnel for a while, and you kind of know that. And then, and sometimes those long-term prospects that you're just trying to keep on the hook, right? Like just trying to keep on the hook. So very, very good. I absolutely love that. We had a question come in. It says, do all of their leads feed into Novi first? No, they do not. I just want to make that clear. So Lena and Level Homes uses Lasso as their CRM. And so all of their leads come into any online leads all funnel into the CRM or into Lasso, correct, Lena? Right. And then you're working them, nurturing them, just like that. And then Novi is inserted kind of at a specific moment, oftentimes the handoff we discussed. So no, the CRM, and really we recommend this at Novi, like that should be the place that all the leads come into. And then from the CRM, you'll be able to deploy the invitation to the app. We're going to go into that a little bit later, the kind of the details on that. So no, right, just to be clear.
Cream of the crop.
Cream of the crop. Thank you. That's a good way to put it. Like I think last week when we spoke, Lena, right, you said like it kind of B and C rated prospects and like higher, right? Like A and B, and then maybe sometimes C. So it's not, definitely not everybody that, especially someone who's like non-responsive, right? Like that wouldn't be a person that would be, kind of teed up for this. Okay. So sometimes I feel like, that old show, Mythbusters? I used to watch this when I was a kid. And one myth I think that is out there genuinely is that from new sales agents, OSCs, just new people that are new to NoviHome often ask me like, would a prospect really download the app? Like somebody who has not made any commitment with us yet. They haven't purchased yet. They're still just shopping. And it's almost kind of like a myth. And I'm like, absolutely they would. You download apps for things that are far less important all the time, right? Than your home buying journey, right?
Well, I paid $8 to make my dog dance the other day. Like, yes, people download apps that they use one time. Like, yes, they will download.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. So talk a little bit about that. I want you to talk a bit about kind of like one, in your experience, like, what percentage of these people that you're inviting would you say download the app, and how are you explaining it to them? You touched on this a little bit, but like, what is your talk track? How do you explain the app to somebody when you're speaking to them on the phone before you send that invite?
Yeah, so I've been in sales a long time. It used to be with makeup, so that was back in the day. But one of the things that I've always like taught my employees is you just assume the sale. You're not shopping with your wallet. And it's like, why would they not? Like it doesn't cost them anything, right? Maybe a little
Mhm.
storage, I don't know. But it doesn't cost them anything. So it's like we go into these conversations and it's like, of course you want this. Like I'm not, it's all about the confidence, right? It's like, why would you not fuel up your car before you go on a road trip? So I just tell them, these are the things that you're getting. Make sure you download the app. This is how we communicate. And this is also like, one of our on-site reps said this the other day, like the leads that have downloaded it prior to coming in, it's almost like a preview of what their experience is going to be like for level. So a lot of times when people are shopping different buyers and they're like, well, what's it going to be like after I sign? Well, this is a really great way for you to preview that. Like, what does our team communication look like? How are you getting updates? Even like being able to see the updates on the specs and stuff. Like, you're going to have this personalized approach if you download the app. So I just give it to them. Like, I'm not like, oh, do you want to download our app? Like, it's not a question. It's just assume the sale, right? Just give it to them. I've never,
Just give it.
I like, that's just shocking to me that people would think that they wouldn't want that.
It's honestly, it's more people who are new to. Usually, it's when I'm
Yeah.
training a new team and it's
Oh,
their first
okay.
exposure. Oftentimes, right after people have used it for a while and gotten used to it,
Yeah.
that the myth kind of starts to go away by itself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's usually new people that are seeing it for the first time, and I think oftentimes on-site sales agents, especially, are sitting. They're sitting in my training and they're thinking of themselves in their model home. Somebody comes in the door and they're going, okay, if I actually tried to get this person to download an app, would they do it? Right.
Yeah.
Because it's so different than I think what they're used to during
Yeah.
that in-person interaction, which I understand. It's a new thing. Anytime something new is inserted, it's always a bit of a change.
Yeah. And I think we approach it kind of more of like, this is a service we're offering you. This is like a free service to make this easier on you. Obviously, we get a lot of intel from it, but it's really something to help their whole buying journey like a lot easier from start to finish. So
a service. So last week when we spoke, I loved that you called it that. I'm doing you a service by inviting you to the app, because I could send you information another way. Email is usually the most kind of traditional way for an online sales counselor, right? And you're going to get information from your on-site agent when you meet with them. You're going to get additional information, right? But the app is going to keep all of that in one easy, convenient place for you to review before the appointment, after the appointment. So really, we're doing me and the on-site agent together are doing you a service by inviting you to the app. And I love that you called it that. Lena, we had a question come in.
yeah.
Do you communicate with leads through NoviHome? Like, do you actually use the chat to communicate with prospects in there?
I do. But I will also put a little asterisk by that. And I always communicate with people how they want to be communicated with. So if they're communicating and texting through the app, I communicate and text through the app. If they're texting me, I text them. Like, it does kind of keep me. Sometimes I feel a little scatterbrained by doing it, but it's like I want people to respond. That's all I care about. And so if they register through the Novi app, then like that's usually where most of our conversations lie. Sometimes it's calling, sometimes it's emailing. So I will say, like, I just try as an OSC to really meet people where they're at and not force one bucket of communication. But we do communicate a lot through the Novi app, and then that kind of gets them practicing. If they will do it, even before the sale, kind of gets them practicing and knowing like that's where you're going to go for updates. So it's like good to kind of get those wheels turning. So.
No, absolutely. And just so everybody knows, anyone that's listening, the Level Homes team is also really, really good at using NoviHome for customer updates post-contract. And so they send regular progress pictures and videos and communicate through the chat very, very well as a team, especially with customers. They also take progress pictures of spec homes very well in NoviHome. So when Lena's sending an invite to a prospect, they can go look at progress photos of inventory homes, and they can also in there, it is kind of teeing them up for, hey, right when you sign a contract, for those that do sign a contract, it gets them already in that frame of like, hey, this is how we're going to be communicating with you once you sign a contract. So this is just kind of making, this is just a smooth and easy transition. Okay. I want to talk a little bit more about the handoff specifically. First thing I want to go into with this is how you utilize Lasso, your CRM, to send the invite to buyers. And we don't need to necessarily get into like the granular details of it, but I want it to be very clear to anyone listening that Lena is not manually entering these leads into NoviHome. As a matter of fact, last week when we met, she told me if I had to do that, I probably would not use it, right? Because, which totally makes sense, right? So, Lena, you're getting the leads that they come in from, right, the website, wherever else they come in. You're taking advantage of your CRM to just quickly and easily deploy the invitation because you already have the customer's information, their name, their email, their phone number, right? So, like, let's just take the information we already have, send the invite. Will you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we integrated, what's it called, like a webhook or something like that? I know you told me not too granular, but yeah,
Sure,
I can help you with that. I'm not a tech genius, so we'll bypass that part altogether. But really, it's as simple as changing a rating. So we just created a rating that's called S Send to Novi. And so once they go from either responded or non-responded to that confirmed appointment or whatever ranking I'm making them before I put their final ranking in, I just toggle to S send to Novi and it automatically just shoots them that that text message invite or email. I can't remember. I think it does both.
Both, yeah, both.
And if you only have the number or the email, it'll send one or the other. So no one is like, drops through the cracks. So yeah, it's just S send to Novi. And then as soon as I refresh the page, I just switch it to their appropriate rating and it's as easy as that. I will then get an alert on my phone that says I've been made the team leader for that person. And I'll go in and I'll start adding like some listings to their profile so that they can, start exploring.
Okay, I love that. We're gonna come back to that in a minute.
Definitely.
The listing.
We'll dangle the carrot there.
We're just dropping. That's just a little preview of what's to come. Okay. I would want to make clear, anyone that's listening, this feature, this functionality is not exclusive to Lasso. So if you use a different CRM, HubSpot, Salesforce, okay, this functionality is available in those as well. So essentially, if you're an online sales counselor, if you're a builder, you use any of those systems, we can help you set up your CRM to take an existing lead that's in there and push it over to NoviHome, which means that you do not have to manually register them in Novi in order for that person to get the invite. The CRM will push the information over, create the buyer's account, which triggers this welcome text and email invite to the buyer. So it's really, really fast, really easy, kind of like a click of a button, right? Click two clicks and it's boom, That happens that fast. So really fast and streamlined, not something really kind of separate that you have to manage, okay? Okay, someone asked, I thought you needed both an email and a phone number to be entered into Novi. So that's a great question. In a Novi registration form, both are required, but if you are pushing them over from a CRM, it actually only requires the email. So if you didn't have a phone number for the person, if the buyer does not have an email and you tried to push them over, it actually will not create their account, just to be clear. But if they don't have a phone number in your CRM, you can still push over the invite. They only actually have to have an email. On the Novi registration forms, we require both because we want you to enter both, but with an integration, you can do it with just the email, okay? Another question, how do we add this feature in Lasso? That's an excellent question. We can kind of guide you through that process, and us, along with ECI, have put together an instructional sheet on how to set this up. So you can go in and you can do it pretty quickly within Lasso, and you would create a custom rating, set up the webhook. We have really easy instructions for you to follow. I won't go through the details of that today.
I could do it. It's crazy. It's a good PDF.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so Lena, we sent the instructions. Lena set it up, and it probably didn't take. I would imagine it didn't take super long to do it. So. If you're interested in setting that up, no matter what CRM you use, get in touch with us and we can provide you instructions on how to get this rating trigger, or whatever it looks like in your CRM set up. Okay. The other really important thing I wanted to touch on, this is going backwards a little bit, but when you trigger that invite, Lena, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming you never trigger this invitation to a prospect without first telling them that they're going to receive this, right? Sorry, are you? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
correct. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, just making sure the audio didn't cut out.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
correct.
yeah, correct. So, they're going to receive that invite. Like I said, most of the time it's at the end of a phone call. I'll say like, I'll wrap up the call and say like, you're going to be receiving three things. Well, you know, the calendar invite, the email, the invite to the app. I also put it in the handoff email. And you know, while I'm explaining all of that, like they know that it's coming.
Okay, very good. That is really important, and that's a point I really wanted to make sure anyone listening heard. If you the like the likelihood that a prospect is going to download the app is increased drastically if they're told about it beforehand, right? So we have seen some people try to send invitations to all leads or to, maybe anyone that comes in without even, there's no context to it. Far less people are going to download it if you don't tell them what it is and what the service is that you're offering them, right? So I wanted to make sure that was clear to everybody. Okay. Let's now dive into this recommending homes or listings. And you called it last week when we met a shopping cart. I think I heard you refer to it once as homework as well. So will you explain a little bit as to what exactly do you mean by the shopping cart or the homework that you're adding for these people?
Yeah, so a lot of our listings, like we do a mix between spec homes and pre-sold. We're about 60% pre-sold. So this is allows them to like do a little bit of homework, a little shopping cart before going in. And I like to explain, like, you know, we've talked a lot. You've given me a lot of information and vice versa. I don't want you to feel like you're having to repeat yourself when you walk in the door. Like you should be able to feel like you pick up we left, where you and I are leaving off, not having to like start from scratch. So our handoff at level, I think, is like kind of our secret sauce, and Novi is such a huge part of that. But Novi allows us, between me and the sales team, to just like really hold hands without stepping on each other's toes. So if I can set them up with like, look at these houses, this person has been looking and favoriting, you know, 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom houses. They're not going to waste their time like showing them a 3-bedroom or a 5-bedroom with an office. You know, they're going to kind of like start showing them exactly what they want, keep their attention. So by creating like that little shopping cart for them, it really encourages them to explore. It's kind of like first captures that engagement. They see like 2 or 3 listings, and then they're like, "Ooh, what else is in here?" So they're able to see homes that are, you know, pre-solds for other people, but kind of get some, you know, inspiration from that stuff that's not in MLS or in Zillow, and it just kind of gives them a larger variety and like buffet, if you will, of all of our offerings.
I absolutely love this. And it is such an excellent way to take advantage of the recommendation feature or the favorites feature that we call it in the app. So I'm going to share my screen for a second on this one because I want everyone to visualize this one a little bit more to understand. Okay. Let's see here. In the buyer's app, okay, when anybody, right, so when Lena sends an invite to their Level Homes app, just by being in the app, they have that individual that's invited, they have access to all the inventory that's in there, right? With this explore button, they can scroll through any house, they can filter these down to a specific community if they want to. But what Lena's talking about is that she is actually recommending specific homes or specific listings for these people and putting them in favorites. And so she is pushing them to favorites. And I think I have in here. Here we go. Here's an example. When Lena pushes one into favorites, it actually shows up as a recommended home for that individual. The other homes that are here may have been added by the buyer themselves because they can favorite houses as they're scrolling through the app and looking at them. So this area of favorites is a combination of both them, the buyer, adding homes here, and then if Lena's added any, they show up as a recommended home for them. One really cool part about this, just so everyone's clear, is that Lena does this oftentimes. Is she'll push the buy over from Lasso, like we talked about, and then Lena, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll go in and make these recommendations like right after you get the account in your app. Yep. So I think by the time that individual opens the app for the first time, there's probably already these recommended homes just sitting waiting for them in favorites. Yes.
Yeah, and it's it's very customized. I want them to know that I heard them on the call. So it is very specific to them. There's no template. It's not just random homes. We even will put some of our like premium lots as listings in the app. We'll put our amenities, like especially if like we have a new pool that just opened today in one of our communities. So we've been posting like progress pictures of that. So if this person told me like, oh, I really want like a lake lot, well, I'm going to put a couple of our lake lots on there. They can also see how many people are watching it. So it gives a little bit of FOMO there. You can see the 4 watchers right there for that home. So they can see people that are looking at different lots, but they can also follow along with the progress of some of our new amenities. So, if they've told me that a pool is important to them, then I'm going to put, the different amenities and the different neighborhoods in the area they're exploring in that as well. So it really just shows them and proves to them that we're listening.
Right. And I love that, like, you're listening, hey, we oftentimes, right, when you're speaking with a qualified prospect, this person has already done a lot of homework and
Mhm.
research, right? So they have a really good idea of what maybe community they really love on your website, what price point they're looking for, what size of home, right? And so Lena's going in and making these recommendations based off that conversation that she's already had, or maybe several conversations that she's had with this prospective buyer. Now, I do want everyone, just so everyone's clear, any home that's in favorites, even one that you push over into favorites for a prospect, that individual is notified about that home moving forward. So yes, they see the total number of watchers, which creates a little FOMO. They also see the price, and if the price changes on that home, it will notify all those watchers. So anyone that it's been recommended for is going to get a price notification update. If new photos are added to that home, they're going to be notified. If that house sells and goes under contract with another customer, they're going to get notified that that's happened. So there's a lot of things here that are creating urgency for the prospects that are blasting out notifications for these people that have these recommended homes. And if Lena is to have a follow-up conversation, or the on-site agent is, and they recommend an additional home, the buyer would get a new notification letting them know that a new home has been recommended. Okay. Lena, you do this in the app most of the time, right?
Yeah, I typically use that. To be honest, I don't know why I don't use the desktop more. I don't know. I'm very comfortable in the app, so that's what I use, but I should.
That's totally fine. Like, really, I tell people all the time, whatever works best for you, right? I just want to show everyone real quick, like, how do you make a recommendation, or how do you push one of these homes into favorites for a buyer, for a prospective buyer? So in the app, you can do it pretty easily and quickly. So this is the Novi Focus app. It's just essentially just like the mobile version, the mobile app. So OSCs, you can use this app to do this. There's also a web version. I'll show you in just a second. You can do it there as well. Here in the mobile app, after the buyer comes over from the CRM, the buyer would show up here in your, again, what we call our Novi Focus app. When you go into your buyer's account, there will be a homes button there. And you can easily, from right there, just hit this plus, and it'll pull up all the inventory homes. If you want to narrow it down to a specific community, you can do that. And then if you hit plus on any one of these, it just pushes it into favorites right away for that individual. Okay. And again, this is also really easy to do from our web platform. You can do the same thing. You can come in here on your computer if that's easier for you. You can come in and find your buyer, come to homes, and you have the same option here to add a following home. And again, it'll pull up your inventory. You can search them, filter them. So it's really fast and really easy way to create this shopping cart, right, of
Mhm.
homes that you guys have talked about, and or homework, right? Sometimes I like to think of it as like homework, like, hey, this will help you get ready for your appointment with the
And
on-site agent.
I have to just say too, sorry if I'm skipping ahead, but I use this so much as a tool for myself too when setting appointments. Um, like you mentioned earlier, our on-site reps, they are so good about keeping this up to date. They do like a Monday audit every single Monday and see like like what homes need updates, like that kind of thing, especially with our spec homes. But if I'm setting an appointment for someone, like for example, we have a new community that's opening in a couple weeks. And we have, obviously we don't even have sticks on the ground yet, right? So we're having to set up our discovery appointments at all different communities, surrounding communities like within an hour. So I'm able to easily go into that because they've kept it so clean and so crisp and up to date that I can go into the Focus app, type in a floor plan that this customer wants to see, and I'm like, okay, well, we need to make sure this appointment is set, give you a few hours because you're going to have to, like, are you okay with driving an hour to go see this home? And they are usually. So it's like, it really allows me to stay super organized and set them up for success, so that they can see exactly what they want to see the first time and not, just go meet at a model home and then have to figure it out with the second appointment.
Yeah, absolutely. Last week when we spoke too, this is reminding me, right? You mentioned that oftentimes, right, someone will tell you they're looking at this particular floor plan, and maybe the community or maybe you guys don't have one available at the moment, but you're building one that's under contract with another customer. Explain to me how you kind of take advantage of that with the app to create a little urgency.
Oh yeah, yeah. So as far as like creating that urgency goes, like, sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know, I can't like make it out to the appointment. And say they tell me like three different floor plans they want to see. Well, I can look in here and say like, oh, well, like, we have an inventory home of one of these, so you'll be able to see that for a while. It's not under contract yet, but I have your other two favorite floor plans. They're closing in 2 weeks. So if you want to see them, like, now's the time because we won't own them in 2 weeks. So
Absolutely. And I absolutely love that. And you use the app to search the inventory quickly, easily. And because they're under, like, they can go out there and see it before it closes. You can see, because of the home tracker feature and the progress photos that the team in the field is taking, like how close that home is to closing and things like that. So
yeah, they do a great job of the way that they enter each listing or each home. They put the floor plan name, the address, and the lot number. So you can search like Burnside, or you can search the address, or you can search however, like whatever way you're searching, you're going to be able to come up with something.
love it. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Um,
There's a good question right now, Coy, if you want to.
yeah,
I'm
I'm reading this question here that just came in. Let me read it out loud. Have you seen an uptick in engagement or appointment capture rate since implementing Novi? Does this help speed up the process from initial contact to walk-in to a model? You mentioned to me last week, Lena, that you guys at Level just overall have a very low cancellation rate for appointments. So let's kind of talk about, let's bundle all of those questions into one, right? Have you felt that Novi has helped reduce the cancellation rate? What other things are you guys doing that's helping to contribute to that?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a really low lot deposit compared to a lot of other builders. Like on spec homes, it's only $1,000, and on pre-solds, it's only $3,000. It's not like a percentage of the sale. And our cancellation rate is really, really low. And of course, that speaks to how the on-site reps are using it, like post-contract, and they're doing a really great job keeping the buyers engaged and happy, and knowing if a problem is arising, being able to fix it before, people start getting upset. But like, our cancellation rate is super low and our sales are increasing. But speak from my seats specifically, ever since I've been implementing this, we've seen our KPIs go up and down in the best ways, right? So cancellations are lowering, appointment cancellations are really, really low. It's very, very odd for us to have a true like appointment cancellation. It's not, if anything, it's just a reschedule. I mean, I'm talking like one or two a month, maybe. But most importantly, our appointment to sale is well beyond the industry average. So, when we're tracking our KPIs, like, we get a pat on the back if it's like 18 to 20%, right? Like, it's like, okay, if all of these appointments you're booking, around 20% of them buy, like we're doing what we're supposed to. Ours was 36% last year. So it's double the industry average. So, they're staying engaged with us because, like I said, we're just, the handoff process, I think, is just so streamlined. And then in online sales in general, my department contributes 60% of our overall sales. So that's
Okay, love it. OSC, did everyone hear that? I just want to make sure everyone, do we need to repeat these statistics again? Those are excellent. Those are fantastic. Talk to a little bit more for a second about, right? I think every builder wants this, but they have a really hard way of accomplishing this. But like, once they've come and visited you, I mean, you typically know that they're shopping other builders, right? Or potentially looking for a resale, right? And other things. So like, but talk to me about, like, builders want them off the Zillow app and Realtor.com and off the web, right? You don't want them shopping other people. Talk to me about how Novi's helped like keep them locked into Level homes.
Well, everybody has the same amount of time in a day, right? So if they're on our app and we're engaging with them and talking to them, like, they literally physically can't be on the the other apps or the other platforms. So it keeps them in our office, if you will.
Yeah.
And it just allows, again, it really is like a service that we're able to offer. So they are having such a good experience. It's like, why would they spend their time anywhere else? We had actually had a lead the other day, and he was like, I'm so glad that you've been communicating. He had been pretty non-responsive, and he was like, I'm so glad that you stayed in communication with me. He was like, I'm working a turnaround, and it's so hard for me to talk with anybody. And it's like, I feel like you're still with me. And I mean, us OSCs, we like hound them until they like buy or die, but
That is the job, right?
makes it easier,
Yeah.
to like meet them where they're at.
Meet them where they're at, right? I tell all OSCs and on-site agents all the time, and we talked about this earlier, right? Like as far as communication goes, if they're on the app and they are reaching out to you and communicating with you through the chat in the app, meet them where they're at. And it might be a combination of that, the chat, a phone call, follow-up email, text, like while they're still prospecting, right? And you want to meet them where they're at in their journey, right? Lena, there was a question that said, "Are you the only OSC at Level Homes?"
Technically, yes. So we do have right now a sales assistant and a backup OSC. So she's part of like a new and upcoming community that doesn't have homes built yet. So if I'm not able to answer the phone, like she's like my backup, the calls will roll to her, but I am like the sole OSC for managing our initial leads.
And just to give people kind of an idea, and you can just kind of ballpark this, but about how many closings do you guys do a year at Level Homes?
It's growing. So we were at 175 last year, but we're on track to do closer to 300 this year. So we're
Yeah,
growing.
no, yeah, growing, absolutely. Okay, just to give people context kind of on volume and things like that. Okay. Oh, something going with the chat real quick. I had a question jotted down here. Meeting people where they're at. You mentioned to me last week when we spoke that these prospects that you get on the app, right? They feel very comfortable communicating with you through the app. Talk a little bit more about that. Like, why do they feel like it's a trusted area of communication?
So one of the things I've had to combat lately a lot as an OSC is AI. People think that I'm a robot.
Yeah.
And so to be as human as possible, they've downloaded the app. It just appears less like a spam text, right? Like even when I text them through like just a normal text message these days, I'm like, here, save my number. I'm gonna call you in a bit. I didn't want you to think it was spam. And I'll say, hey, I'm texting you through the Novi app. Sometimes people think that these like calls are spam. I just wanted you to know that this is where it's coming from. So it just kind of allows us to be like real for a minute, you don't have to be so perfect. I don't have automated responses set up or anything like that. So it just like, hey, I'm a real person, like not a robot.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And if, right, they're on the app, they're going to see you. And just OSCs, just so you know, when you push an individual over from Lasso or your CRM to NoviHome, you will come over as the assigned rep for the time being until maybe the handoff occurs or later down the process. So your picture and name and contact information is going to appear to these individuals in the app. And they, right, when they're getting the invite, they've probably already spoken with you. May not, may have ever seen you, but you've probably talked to them on the phone at least once, if not a few times, right? So then they're seeing the person that they spoke with on the phone or they've been in contact with already,
Yeah.
which helps a lot. So, okay. Question that came in. Hold on, I want to read this real fast. It's kind of a longer one, and I don't always want to read it out loud. So Lena, someone asked. They said, "I'm the OSC currently, and we're only building in one community, but we're planning to expand to either 4 or 5 more communities within the next few years. Do you recommend we hire another OSC? Is that too much for one person?"
We have about 25 communities. So I've always been told when you start to get over like 200 to 300 leads a month, that's usually when another one needs to come on board. We get about 100 to 120 leads a month right now. And it's pretty manageable. So I don't think that would probably be necessary. So especially if you're paid, by appointment, you like don't want to share those funds.
Right. Yeah, I typically I think it's also it's more driven by lead volume.
It's more by lead volume, yeah.
Yeah, lead volume rather than like community size is also what I usually hear.
Yeah.
Okay. One other question. So in NoviHome, we track some of you, and many of you probably already know this, but we track every time a buyer logs into the app. And not only do we check that they've logged in, but we track everything they look at. Lena's touched on this a couple times. She's kind of mentioned this, how she sees like they're looking at 4-bedroom homes, right? And she used that information. But I wanted her to kind of speak specifically to this topic, right? How do you take advantage of the tracking and the analytics that are reported back to you when you invite someone to the app?
So a lot of it is like the communication between me and my on-site rep, like we'll be able to see what they've been looking at and make sure that we're really like giving a very intentional and specific showing when they do make it in. I've also used it again, kind of as like, I don't know, sometimes I feel guilty about this. I'm like, I shouldn't know all this information, but I do. But like, if say we get a pre-sold that cancels and it's a 5-bedroom Belmont that's like really, like sorry, Belmont, sorry, it's our largest home. And it's like really decked out in upgrades, right? And we get a cancellation. Obviously, that stinks for everybody involved. But if I have a lead that's been like following a lot of large homes and maybe hasn't come up, maybe timing or whatever, I can like send that like, look, this is now available. This is right up your alley. So it really helps us like flip cancellations too and try to get them sold quicker when that does happen every now and then. So it's a great way to use it for that. And then again, I think it just proves to the customer that we're listening to them. When you're managing 100, 120 leads a month, and sometimes like 25% of our appointments come from aged leads. So these people have been around for a long time, like over, at least over 90 days, sometimes a couple of years. So to be able to have it's almost like the best notes you can have, right? Like you physically can't take notes this well as you do with the tracking of what they're looking at. So again, it's like you don't have to be redundant. You're picking up from where you left off, and it just shows that we're like listening and paying attention.
And we retain the history forever in the app from the moment their account was created. So even if you invited someone 6 months ago and for whatever reason, right, let's say they haven't moved forward with a home, maybe they're now starting to re-engage the conversation. You can go back and look at anything they've looked at during the duration of that.
Well, I'm not even going to lie to that point. So we actually had a buyer, went under contract, bought a 3-bedroom home. And like a year and a half later, she starts having app activity again, and she's looking at 5-bedroom homes. And I called her to check in. It's kind of like a little dumb call, like, hey, how do you like your new home? And she's like, well, I'm having a baby and I need a bigger one. So she bought a second one with us. It was great.
Amazing, right? Yes, the tracking does not end. Even after a customer closes, their account remains open, right? And so, yeah, they begin to engage again. And also, we have several success stories with agents across the country that have said, I invited this person to the app 6 months ago, a year ago. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they've been called. We haven't heard from them in, months. And then all of a sudden I got a ping that they were looking on the app again. And it was just like, it told me immediately, like, this person is now engaging with us once again. They're looking again. So I'm going to give this person a call, right? And I'm sure that you've probably had instances like that.
Oh, yeah.
Where you get a ping. And the other thing too is the onsite agent has access to all this tracking, all these analytics that we're talking about. So, right, you leverage it in the handoff. They're going to see this information as well. And it allows you and onsite both collectively to have the right conversation with the prospect, right? You're going to talk about homes, pricing, communities that this person has actively been looking at in the app, right? So you're not kind of playing that guessing game of like, are we talking about something that's even in your ballpark kind of thing, right? So, okay. Let's see here. One question I don't think we touched on. I want to touch on this real quick. I'm sure some people are kind of wondering this. So in NoviHome, kind of like with most CRMs, you can assign multiple people from the sales team to one individual lead, depending on where they've shopped. And in NoviHome, you can assign multiple people to one prospect as well. So for example, when Lena pushes somebody over, they're assigned to Lena initially, and then when their handoff occurs or they're actually going to go meet with an onsite agent, you actually make the onsite agent the team leader, the primary in NoviHome, right?
I do, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, in my seat, like my main priority is new leads coming in. I'm here to build the funnel, right? And so if I'm the one that's like following up with them after the handoff, it's like I'm missing new people coming in, right? So I will, during that handoff, I will make them the team lead. I'll stay on it for a little bit because sometimes like maybe I missed the mark. Maybe that's not the best community for them and I need to pivot them to another level homes community. So I'll stay on it, until they go under contract. But after they go under contract, I'll usually take myself off just so that I can make space for.
Right. And by at that point, it's the on-sites.
Yeah, it's them. Yeah. So
It's their responsibility, and they'll be the one doing the communication and the
yeah,
updates.
yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
like,
for us,
well, I booked an appointment yesterday, and they're looking at spec homes in a general area, which in that general area, we have two different reps that cover those communities. And so I was able to put both of them on that person's profile. And then I remained the team leader for now until they kind of decide, and then I'll pass it off to the appropriate one and remove one. And it's really easy.
yeah. And this transfer of team lead and primary can be done either from our app that I showed earlier, the Focus app, or can be done on the web. So you can use the app or the web interchangeably as you're implementing this into your processes. Okay. Okay. Well, I believe I don't think any new questions have come in. I believe those are most of the questions. I'm kind of looking through them here down, and I think I've kind of gone through all of them. Lena, is there anything else that maybe we didn't touch on, or anything else you want to talk about NoviHome and your OSC process, and or anything else at Level Homes?
Yeah, no, we talked a lot about like me entering them in the lasso process, and I will say one thing that we have done a little differently lately, and I mean, I feel like we're still kind of in the pilot phase, but it does seem to be working really well. Is for our door notices on only our model homes. Okay, we made it come to the online project recently because I have a process set up for following up with people that I've never physically met before, where our on-site people aren't, they don't use that muscle quite as much.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
on all of our inventory homes and things like that, it still goes to our on-site rep just because if that person's actively in the community, like they want to be able to like pop on over and introduce themselves and get that notification. But if they're scanning the QR code on the model home, then obviously the rep isn't there because obviously they're not. They can't walk the door. So we did create like an online QR code so that I can get them back out when there is a rep there. So, and that's proven to be really helpful. So I would say I probably set 5 or 6 appointments a month just from that because they're already in the community. They're obviously excited to be there, and
Yeah.
So.
No, and these are Novi QR codes, NoviHome QR
The
codes.
Novi QR codes, like where they scan and download the app. If it's on the model home, it comes directly to me, and I'm able to follow up accordingly.
Yeah, and so just so everybody knows that's listening, right? We can set up QR codes or show you guys how to create QR codes in Novi that are pointed to online sales, on-site sales, and like Level has done, they have some pointed to online sales and some pointed to on-site sales, depending on where the code is scanned. So you can create as many as you want. Level Homes puts up these brochures with these QR codes on like the model home door or window or something after hours. So when nobody's actually present, and those they have pointed towards Lena so that she can do her typical follow-up. Now, these are NoviHome QR codes. So one of the benefits of these, Lena, and you can speak to this a little bit more, is that the individual who scans that Novi QR code, they are asked to register for the app right up front, name, email, and phone number. And if they fill that out, they receive the invite to download the Level Homes app. Lena will get a notification that new person has come in, and then she can begin her follow-up process either through the app, through email, text, and all those other things, correct?
Yep, and it even pushes straight to lasso too. So
and pushes into lasso.
I don't even have to type it out.
Perfect. So yeah, push and pull from lasso, right? Okay, a couple of questions that came in, Lena. Do you suggest any OSC trainings or conferences?
The Do You Convert Summit is amazing. It's in October, I believe. It's going to be in Austin this year, so this will be my 3rd time going. So it's incredible.
Okay, yes, Do You Convert? I would also recommend that one. I've been a couple of times, and it is excellent. Any other training resources that you've utilized outside of that?
I mean, personally, I lean into a lot of the ECI training that they have on like their portal because we use Lasso. That's the main ones really. Like I have my coaching call with Do You Convert, and we kind of go over more personalized things at this point. When I started about 2.5 years ago, I had a pretty rigorous onboarding with them, and they got me set up for success. And then I have monthly check-ins. So That's pretty much what I do. I also I love the summit too because I can network with other OSCs. It can sometimes feel like you're kind of sitting on an island, especially if you're the sole OSC at your builder. So it's great to kind of have different people in the industry, and we'll sometimes hop on a Zoom and have coffee dates and talk about, what's going on. And so that's usually a really great resource.
Absolutely love it. Thank you. And then another question that came in. Do you guys at Level use any self-guided tours like InterNow or
We do not. We do not. We really like the personalized approach, and we just weren't getting a whole lot of response from people going into the self-guided tours. So I think, there's probably some ways we could have used it a little bit better. But we've just found that like one-on-one personalized appointments and things is what it's been working for us. So
Great. Excellent. Okay. Lena, thank you again so much for doing this. And for everyone who's joined us, we hope everyone's been able to learn something new. We think you're an absolute rock star, and we love how you have taken advantage of Novi to improve the customer's experience, right? Like they're while they may, when they're speaking with you, Lena, they're not actually under contract yet, nor have they signed a contract, but they are, right? That's when they start their journey, is when they first reach out and get into contact with somebody at Level Homes, which is typically Lena's the first point of contact. And so we love that you're taking advantage of right? We are a customer experience tool, and we want to elevate the buyer's experience, and you guys are doing such a great job of that. So thank you for joining us today. Thanks everyone who joined me. Yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who joined and asked questions. We'll be sending out a recording, of course, of this and taking little clips and things like that. But thank you again to everybody. Thank you, Lena. Thanks, Maddie, for joining us as well. Everyone have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.